Yes, sir, and shalom. Shalom, Rastafari. Yeah, so we're going to continue on this, the undermining of the Kebra Nagast. Now, what we did was we went ahead and, since we are over here in this area, the campaigning, there's no such thing as the Middle East, right? If anything, this would, one could say East Africa, East Ethiopia, east of the promised land of Israel, okay, dealing with a certain part of the area, right, especially concerning the promised land. So what we did here was, as you can see, we have, Jeddah right here, and then we also have, when we zoom in a little close there, just so you can see where Mecca is today, okay? Where Mecca is today. Now, the clue that we have, okay, one of the clues that we have, that Hiram, the king of Egypt at that time, okay, Hiram, the king of Egypt, and we know King Solomon was married to the king of Egypt's daughter during this time period, and this is right up until the consultation between King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Okay, so a couple times we might adjust this, the cam, so we can get a more of a, a better view here of what we're speaking about here, because a lot of times we like to be looking at the map when we're speaking about these areas. Now, the traveling of the caravan concerning the Kebra Nagast, right? I and the Wyndham, the brethren, we were discussing this one time, one day. We were having a reasoning about this, and we reason quite often about these lies, because we got a lot of half pint Rastafari out there. We got a lot of brothers who, they reject the teachings of His Majesty. They reject the Torah, and by rejecting the Torah, they reject the glory of His Imperial Majesty, Qedamawi, Haile, Selassie. For he said, "For my part, I glory in the Bible." Now, the testimony of the descent of the kings from King Solomon to the Queen of Sheba, okay, it is obviously dealing with the kings of Israel and the continuing of that line. So we got a lot of false believers out there, a lot of fake believers, and also giving a bad report. If you look at the Torah portion, we're in Torah, right? I think was that one of the first things spies did, was give the false report, or was that in the last Torah portion leading to this one? We're gonna get up on our Torah story, our Torah study for this week, right? This, what they call the week, we call the strong, right? Because I and I strong in the name of Jah Rastafari, So now the further evidence here, what we did was we drew a line. Now, well, not necessarily drew a line, but we kind of measured a distance from Jeddah to a place here. I think it's called Mocha. Now, we kind of use that area for a reason, okay? Because this would be more this would be a more of an honest representation of the journey that the Queen of Sheba, on her way to see King Solomon. Now, we have our reasons why we believe that King Solomon was right here when he built the house of Milo right here in Mecca, right? And perhaps another house even in Jeddah, right? And the fact that it's there as a revelation today, Jeddah, right? And then also the fact that Mecca is so close to Jeddah. Okay, so we look up here, Mecca is as you can see is quite close to Jeddah. Okay, now they were on this part of the Red Sea, right? This part of the Red Sea. So the journey of the Queen of Sheba wouldn't have been all the way up there to Palestine. Okay, so her journey wouldn't have been far. Okay, her journey, judging by the way that they went to see King Solomon, the way she went to see Slow-Mo, Nagast, right, the king, her journey wouldn't have been that long. And then when if we do a distance from Jeddah to Mocha, right? So this just Jeddah to Mocha, about this part, what we would assume would be like, an easier crossing of the Red Sea here, right before the Gulf of Aden, okay? And we'll get into that narrative. Or they could have crossed here at Eritrea, and Eritrea at a time could, we also could say Tyre. Tyre may have some high influence on Eritrea, or Eritrea was part of it at the time. And all of these, remember, were Confederate. As far as Ethiopia and black people, we know the Queen of Sheba. They put her in the south of Arabia, right? That she was grown up in the south of Arabia. But obviously, there was some relocation of the Queen of Sheba at her time when she had her kingdom in its source, right? Assuming that it was over here in Ethiopia. Okay, it was over here in Ethiopia, or perhaps even on this side, right, with the extension. Okay, now we're gonna go to a verse here. The verse that we're gonna go to is in 1 Kings, before we get into, because we really want to read all of 1 Kings 9, chapter 9 through chapter 10, right, and 11. Why? Because the numbers 9 and 1, 9 and 11, I want you to see the coincidences with these numbers here. Okay, and then also is the fact that King Solomon fell off around chapter 11. Okay, around chapter 11, and there was some other significances that we seen also. Now we're gonna go down here to prove to you that him and Hiram at that time, right? If Tyr's now Tyr's location, we track Tyr to a few locations. Mainly we are tracking Tyr to the northern area, more the northern area up there, a little bit before Greece and over there, probably above Lebanon and whatnot. Though in this time period, there may be reason to suspect Tyr being in the south, or even their I don't want to say the stronghold of Tyr, because if we look at 2 Samuel, there's a verse in 2 Samuel that speaks about the stronghold of Tyr being up there by the Hivites up there in the north. Though King Solomon and Hiram, I don't believe either one of them wanted to stay in the northern area up there where we see Palestine today and Lebanon. I do believe that Jerusalem as a state, because of all the cities that King Solomon had and Israel had conquered at that time, also with the help of the king of Egypt, we'll go over that here, right? I do believe that Nagast, there's a statement here in the word, in the Torah, where he offers Hiram 20 cities, okay, by Galilee, okay? And Hiram was not pleased with that, okay? Then when we get to down here, right, and this is the giveaway, the Red Sea is the giveaway. They weren't off the Mediterranean, right? We see right here in Torah tells us where they were. Also, when we go and search certain names, okay, they of course had, since they had eradicated the Israelites out of the area, they pushed them out, and Hashem said that would be done. We already said the Almighty even predicted that, so other people don't have to say. We know that when they conquered these areas, shout out to Priest Isaac on his last video concerning, I think it was the King of Kings, Qedamawi, Haile Selassie, and the Kebra Nagast. Shout out to the Rebbe of the Line of Judah Society, Rastafari Jews, Check the eye out on the Rastafari Israelites, the Discipleship Radio. Please check that out. Okay. Now, when we were watching the vid with Priest Isaac, the latest vid he had, there are some things that we would like to address concerning certain claims, right, about dates and concerning the Kebra and Nagast, though Torah has already proved these things right. So we know that there was, after Slow-Mo's time, there was a dividing and conquering of that area. Another thing is that another reason we believe Slow-Mo wouldn't have wanted to stay in the north is because after he offered Hiram the 20 cities up there, which Hiram did not want, he was not pleased with them. Okay, I don't think he wanted to stay up there either. Okay, at that time, and they were plotting on the southern part, right there down by the Red Sea. Okay, and we have further evidence that also indicates that Milo was in Mecca. Okay, and part of Jerusalem was there. We had the text from the brethren. Shout out to Wyndham Aya Song. Give thanks, brethren. Aya Song, not Aya Cern from the Priest Isaac video, but Wyndham Aya Song, author of Rastafari, the Midrashim, the Rastafari Midrashim, and we need to go and look up that book, give the brother some credit, get that book circulating out there so we can get this knowledge out. And many brothers need to get their knowledge up. You need to get your Torah up. Because like I said, we have a lot of half-pint Rastafari who don't agree with the glory of his Imperial Majesty. One's, over here trying to act like the line. Okay, and we had a shout out to the brethren on Priest Isaac channel who proclaimed the perfection of the numbering of the kings and the date, and he had it down. Okay, so the authenticity of the Kebra and the Nagast, right, is the truth. Okay, it is the truth. It passed the test. And do not undermine the Kebra and Nagast. We need to study the Kebra and Nagast. If you're a real Israelite, you must study the Kebra and Nagast so we can keep up with the line of the king. Now, the Rebbe on the Rastafari Israelite Discipleship Radio for the night of 6/21. Is our battery low? No. Okay, we didn't know that we were running low there, so we may have to continue this again because this may cut off on us. But here in 1 Kings 9:26, here it says, and King Solomon made a navy of ships in Ezion. Notice it's Ezion or Etzion, Zion, right? Geber, which this is beside Elot, on the shore of the Red Sea in the land of Edom. Now, if he was so concerned with the area that only is Palestine, right? Another thing is that King Solomon had put a levy on those the other peoples in that area that Israel did not utterly destroy. Okay, so King Solomon put a levy on them. This is what 1 Kings chapter 9 is teaching us about this situation here. Okay, so the importance of the Kebra and Nagast, okay, and the consultation of the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon, is King Solomon had extended his royal bounty, okay, the yard. He extended the yard of the kingdom, the extension of the we can go read that in the Hebrew if you like, and even this verse right here in the Hebrew in 1 Kings 9:26, okay, where Ani Yeshua Hamaleki, Wa'ani Yeshua Hamaleki, Yeshua Hamaleki, Shalamoa, Itzion Geber, Itzion Geber, right? Itzion Geber, Asher, Eta, Elot, we were seeing that Elot right here, right? Elot, Al, Shaphat, Yam, Al Shafat Yam Suf. So the Red Sea, right? The Yam, the you know, that Gulf, that Yam, the sea, Suf, red. So we know it was talking about the Red Sea. Be'eretz, Edom, Be'eretz, Edom, right? Edom, in the land of Edom. Okay, in the land of Edom. So this at this time was Arabia, right? It's talking about this southern part of Arabia. Right there, we believe where Milo was close to, because we have up here in verse 1 Kings 9 and 24, though Pharaoh's daughter came up out of the city of David to her house, right? Out of the city of David to her house, which Shlomo had built for her, then did he build Milo, right? Then did he build Milo. Right, and we talking about all that area down there by the Red Sea, right? Because again, we go back to 9 and 26, and King Solomon made a navy of ships in Etzion. Why is it called the Tzion? Tzion. Why is Tzion there? Etzion Geber. Not every place was named like a Tzion, right? And if Jerusalem was a state extending. If Jerusalem was a state extending in cities all the way up here, and there was a levy proposed on them up here, right? Now, we know he had beautiful things in the forest of Lebanon. He had great building, Bana. There was great Bana, the building up of great things in Lebanon. We're going to go over exactly that verse, what it was, okay? So we know all the names and things have been changed. They would change certain names and try to fit the area, because they want to tell us this is the Middle East. There's no such thing as the Middle East, okay? Campaign, black people, no such thing as the Middle East. This was East Ethiopia, East Africa, if you will. We'll even go there, okay? But there was no such thing as the Middle East. Let us establish that. Can we at least establish that? I think a lot of brethren, even in their learning of the Torah and learning of the ways of His Imperial Majesty, Qedamawi, Haile, Selassie, they would notice there was no Middle East, okay? This was a terminology that was used to cut black people out of the promised land, okay? It was one of the ways of conquering and dividing the Israelites out of their home territory, okay? So at a time, we know, based on King Solomon, the king of Egypt at the time, and what we're about to go over in this chapter in 1 Kings chapter 9, we know based on King Solomon, the queen of Sheba, the king of Egypt, and Hiram of Tyre, all right, that this area right here was on lock, and King Solomon was at his greatest ever right before the consultation of the queen of Sheba. We're probably going to cut out here, and so we didn't know we were that low. Okay, so we're going to cut out here, and we'll continue in the next vid. Shalom.